So it's the law, the concept of authoritarian government that is really bothering me, and I think it bothers you. This
Authoritarian, yes, of course.
Biden saying,
well,
you know, we've got to take the vaccine, you know, and you have.
Yes, that's one form of it. I would say the form that Trump is threatening us with is even worse, and
which is what?
Well, I mean, he doesn't
the whole
concede
thing.
Elections, you know.
What's happening, everybody? Acclaimed director Oliver Stone recently sat down with Bill Maher on his podcast, Club Random. So Bill Maher had a legend on his show, and where did Bill steer the conversation? Donald Trump didn't concede the election, and he's an authoritarian leader. The saving grace, thank goodness, is that Oliver Stone is one of the very, very few folks from Hollywood that somehow avoided the mind virus and can think for himself. Because he, albeit cordially, wasn't buying Bill Maher's BS. Anyway, let's watch Bill Maher make, I shit you not, one of, if not the dumbest statements I've ever heard in my life. Seriously. I'm not being hyperbolic just to sensationalize my little video here. Let's go.
No, you can't take ivermectin and whatever and the other things. So it's the law, the concept of authoritarian government that is really bothering me, and I think it bothers you. This
authoritarian, yes, of course.
Biden saying,
well,
you know, we've got to take the vaccine, you know, and you have.
Yes, that's one form of it. I would say the form that Trump is threatening us with is even worse, and
which is what?
Well, I mean, he doesn't
the whole
concede
thing.
Elections. You know, the elections only count if we win theory of government.
Okay.
Well, come on, you know Trump he still has not conceded the election. He has not conceded. He does not honor the.
Okay, I mean, do you know for a fact that he lost? I'm just curious.
Okay, you're going to make me.
I just don't know all the facts because.
Well, I do. Is there a conspiracy theory you don't believe?
Oh, come on, Bill.
But Oliver,
you know I'm intelligent.
Intelligent, of course you are. But look, I've had many people sit here and I've said the same thing to them. Like, the key to getting along in America is not getting into these tribal things. It's understanding that you can have somebody in your life who you go, for A, B, C, and D, we are so aligned and the person is so smart and they really get it. And then E, each of you thinks the other one's crazy. And there's a couple of those with us. But we got A, B, C, and D. And so we'll start with that. Yes, that's got to be enough. You can't make people agree with you on these things. And you're right. I'm just asking you, I'm not an expert on the election. I'm not a political junkie. You are, and you follow it very closely. Okay, all right, then I'll give you the thumbnail sketch. They tried it in 60 courts. It was laughed out of every court, including by Republican judges. The people who saved this democracy were Republicans, good Republicans in states where Trump pressured them, like the guy.
Like and subscribe.
The one he's on trial for in Georgia. Find me 11,000 votes. It's on tape. A guy like that saying to him, sir, we just don't do that here. I voted for you. I'm a Republican, but we just don't do that. That's what saved us. And they were Republicans. So you don't take their word for it. I mean, it would.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you went through the 2000 election. That was horrifying to me. What happened when the Supreme Court closed that down? You know, what happened there? I mean, you know, the popular vote was won by.
So what, should we just keep counting votes forever? I mean, should we still be counting the 20?
Count them correctly. Let's just get rid of the Electoral College. Let's do a popular vote.
The people who have testified that this was a fair and well-run election, it's a who's who of people like Bill Maher, Mitch McConnell. You're talking about Liz Cheney. You're talking about dyed-in-the-wool, serious conservative Republicans who went with Trump really further out than a lot of us thought they would go with a guy like McCain's not a war hero. Okay, we'll forgive you. Lots of shit that he did, agreeing with Putin at Helsinki against our intelligence agencies, but I know we don't want to talk about Putin. But it's like, what will they... We found the thing that was their safe word, the thing that made them go, no, that's too far. And it was, we have elections in this country. If we don't transfer power peacefully, if somebody doesn't just be an adult and say, okay, you can't win them all, we lost that one, Good luck, sir. When Obama became president, George Bush stood with him and he said, we want you to succeed. They don't do that anymore. Not that I love George Bush, but what a great moment. So,
What do you think happened in 2000 in Florida?
2000, well, they stopped the vote. Well, first of all, the governor.
So I'm sure a lot of you are saying right now, come on, Matthew. I mean, he said he didn't concede the election, but we're used to that. I mean, he hasn't said the stupidest thing you've ever heard. Hold on. I'm going to focus on one very small exchange at the beginning of this clip. So when Oliver Stone brought up the vaccine, he said, I don't like authoritarianism like the vaccine. And Bill said, well, the vaccine is one form of it, but the one Trump is threatening is much worse. Then out of what I believe to be genuine curiosity, Oliver Stone said, like what? And then Bill Maher said, well, he doesn't concede elections, you know. It is amazing to me how one sentence that's 7 words long can have so much wrong with it. First of all, elections, plural. He ran 3 times and lost once. So unless there was another election that I'm unaware of, I think there's one very specific election that he hasn't conceded. Next, how is Trump not conceding the 2020 election something, in Bill's words, that he's threatening us with? That's your example of Trump threatening the country. All right. And finally, is Trump not conceding an election 5 years ago, Sleepy Joe being sworn in, and Trump moving out of the White House more authoritarian than the United States government forcing their citizens to inject an untested drug into their bodies under the threat of losing their jobs, being told by the media and all of their friends that they're putting people at risk, wearing masks that we now know definitively from Lord Fauci's own words did absolutely nothing, being forced to stay inside when basic common sense tells you being outside would have been much healthier for everyone, arresting people on the beach for being there by themselves, and also, according to Dr. Fauci, arbitrarily making people stand 6 feet apart. You guys know that, right? Mr. Follow the Science fully acknowledges now that there was 0 medical evidence that supported standing 6 feet apart did anything to stop the spread of the virus. Him and his cronies literally pulled that distance out of their ass. After all of that, Trump not conceding an election with so much fishy stuff around it is the more dangerous form of authoritarianism. Get the fuck out of here. And by the way, not one person that I know that fully supported the vaccine and acted as if I were the crazy one has ever come up to me and said, you know what? I have to admit, you were probably right about the pandemic stuff. Or even, hey man, I got to admit, they probably did take the vaccine stuff a little far. And if you ask them to this very day, knowing every single thing that I just explained, do you think they should have made people take the vaccine? And do you think their measures were maybe a little extreme and unfair to those that didn't want to take it? 99.9999% of them will do some insane mental gymnastics to explain why all of it was a good thing. Folks, this is brainwashing on a scale that I've never seen, at least in this country, in my lifetime. Think about how powerful that brainwashing was. They didn't just believe all the bullshit they were fed then. They will believe it until they're 6 feet under. So if we ever think that we're not susceptible to it, think again, because I don't know, 150, 200 million Americans fell for it and will defend it to this day. No big deal. It only did more damage to our children's progress in their education than any event that I can think of, and it's not even close. Those kids can't get that time back. Can you tell this is a little personal for me? And the people that I have in mind when I'm talking about this, these are not dumb people. Most of them probably smarter than I am. So intelligence doesn't matter when it comes to brainwashing. Oh, and they're still convincing themselves that all of this awfulness was necessary. But to what end? What do they get out of it? I do not get it. I think maybe it's just hard for people to admit they were wrong when they went so all in on something, or pride maybe, cognitive dissonance. a combination of all of them. Let's wrap up the video.
There's the candidate's brother was the governor. And the lady counting the votes, remember Cruella
Catherine
de
Harris. Catherine Harris.
I remembered the name wrong. Cruella de Vil, but you're right, Catherine Harris. I mean, could there have been shenanigans? Look, there was shenanigans in the Nixon-Kennedy election on the side of the Democrats.
Yeah,
I mean,
always.
plainly, Joe Kennedy, right, brought that election for his son.
I reserve judgment because it was Chicago. It was the Illinois part more than the West Virginia part. And that was Daley, and he was the boss there. And Daley did his own policing and this. But actually, I think Kennedy won the election. I really don't.
Wow.
That one is it's tight. But what I'm saying is
the one that's the easiest to get on board with. You're like, no, that's I need all the facts on this.
Well, I don't know the facts, and I think I would trust the accountants more than the politicians. And I'd like to know what the accountants say, the guys who vote, who know the most about votes, who do the electoral commissions. You know, I can't take Biden's word for it on anything.
It's not his word. It's the Electoral Commission. It's Trump's own election security guy who said this was the most fair, well-run election that we've had ever.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, if there's nothing that can be said or argued that would convince you,
I think what shocked people was
then
that
it's called a closed
Trump
mind.
won so many, got so many votes. You know, that was what was shocking, that he did so well compared to what he was expected to do.
Right.
Because we believed all.
Why don't you believe he could have lost?
We believed all the East Coast, the media elite, that he was going to fail, and boom.
Yes.
They were wrong. We love to see them being wrong, don't we? The media elite. Because they really hated. They went too far in hating, in dumping on Trump, and people don't like that in America.
You're right.
They don't like dumping on.
You're
people,
right.
And they did it too much.
Well, yes, I was actually having this discussion about the CNN network recently, and I want there to be a CNN in the world. Something that I used to be able to count on them, and I still do some.
What a joke.
Some of it to just give it to me straight, Doc. Just give me the news. And
all right. So even if Donald Trump was laughed out of court and his challenges were shut down, what that means is he didn't provide sufficient evidence that would, beyond a reasonable doubt, give the judge cause to overturn electoral votes from a state or the entire presidential election. It doesn't just close the book on the theory that something illegitimate went down. What about the fact that social media sites took down anyone, including the New York Post, to take down a 100% accurate story about Hunter Biden's laptop because they knew it would significantly hurt Biden's chances of winning? Then, conveniently, after the election, well, it might be true. Then eventually, what we all knew, yeah, it's true. So do you think that would have been good information to have prior to voting for the president of the United States? Is that election interference? I don't know the legal definition, but I'll let you all be the judges. I'll even play devil's advocate. If I concede that it's possible that it could be the case that Biden got 81 million votes, more than any presidential candidate in history, and there was unequivocally no election interference, then can Bill Maher and all the Trump haters that say he's crazy for believing that the election was stolen, can you concede that it's possible that something illegitimate went on? Because if I'm willing to concede that it's possible that everything was on the up and up, but you can't concede that, it just exposes Bill Maher and anyone who thinks like him to have a complete inability to think rationally. How about this? If my rant about the pandemic, if you can relate to that at all, or if it just makes you feel some kind of way, then like, subscribe, and type in the comments, F Fauci. Let's load up the comments with F Fauci. It'll take you 2 seconds. But what do you guys think about this conversation between Bill Maher and Oliver Stone? And what I actually care about more is my frustration with what went on during the pandemic, am I justified in that? Or am I crazy and I'm taking it a little too far? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching videos of dumbasses like Bill Maher say the same things over and over like Trump didn't concede, then click on one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, I have, without question, the best viewers on the planet. I am unbelievably grateful that you took a couple minutes out of your day to watch my silly little video, and you'll never know how much I appreciate you. See you guys.